There's no mystery in this history. When lower class Negroes try to rise, the forces are not with them. And we'll find out why right now. Continuing from the 1945 book Black Metropolis by Dr. St. Clair Drake and Horace Caton. Order. In the face of this wide range of alternative interests, religion ceases to be the focus of lower class life. What were the alternatives? Entertainment, gambling, nightlife, politics, racial activism, etc. So people had more options than just religion. So for some, religion became secondary or even irrelevant. The vast majority organized their behavior around good timing, fixing their attention on the cheaper forms of commercial recreation and gearing the rhythm of their daily life to the policy drawings. Some cling to the church as a subsidiary center of interest, just like we had discussed. And the reason this is addressed here is because this is the end of the section describing Black lower class church culture. So it's transitioning into other competing options for them. Others drop their church connections entirely and become completely secularized, except for fleeting moments of reverie or remorse. Secularized meaning disconnected from religion, for whoever didn't know. I define words a lot because I don't know who knows what, and I don't know who exactly is listening. So I try to clear up some of these words that would have been fuzzy to me back in the day, just in case someone else doesn't know them. Now, I assume a lot of you do, but I know at least there are some that don't. So again, others became disconnected from religion and may have had moments of nostalgic memories or a feeling of guilt because they had left. But it's fleeting and not prolonged enough to make them act on it. Within the lower class are some individuals, however, who assume a pattern of serious secular interest. These are of four main types. 1. Participation in racial movements. 2. Identification with the communist movement. 3. Participation in trade union activities. 4. Striving to get ahead in the traditional fashion of saving money, acquiring a middle-class consumption pattern, trying to get more education, and participating in ward politics. The getting ahead option is the one we're addressing. Here we go. Lower-class sinners sometimes refer scornfully to the philosophy of take the world and give me Jesus, which means that material possessions weren't necessary as long as Jesus was in their heart. The people who mocked that thinking looked at that saying as a way to justify staying poor. And they may have responded by saying, you keep Jesus, I'll take the world because Jesus doesn't pay the bills. But even some church people also adopt a pattern of trying to emerge from lower class status or to provide an opportunity for their children to do so. Numerous lower class persons have become sensitized to the middle class way of life as they see it portrayed in the movies and periodicals, or as they observe it in white homes where they work, or among higher status Negroes. What's the middle class way of life? Here it meant comfort, stability, and respectability. And for the lower class, it symbolized an upward goal to reach. Sometimes a family has one partner, usually the wife, who is sensitized toward the middle class. The wife because she primarily takes care of the children in the household, which made her more likely to see the contrast between her family struggle and the stability she saw elsewhere and to press for something better. In other cases, both partners are middle-class individuals who have taken a social fall, a few steps back down into the pit. The conflict within a family where one parent is oriented toward middle-class behavior patterns can sometimes result in considerable strain. There is, for instance, the case of Mrs. C, whose husband, a common laborer on the WPA and a native of Chicago, had just made a derogatory remark about her Southern origin.
Yes, I'm from Mobile and proud of it. I live better there than you will ever live in Chicago. My people are what we call good livers. They've got a car and a home. What have you got?
She's talking to her husband.
A raggedy bicycle and a WPA job.
Oh, snaps.
I have to do without everything so I won't be sleeping outdoors and starving to death. Do you buy me any clothes? Did you send me home to visit? If I didn't have a child, I'd go back there to stay.
This stuff is wild, but it's reality, even way back in the 1930s.
Excuse me, mister, but this big bastard gets on my nerves, always making fun of me. He's been in Chicago all his life, and what's he got? A $55 a month job, and he's too lazy to keep that.
Is it a mystery how many women ended up how they did today? Not when you know this history. This sounds like it was just documented yesterday. Now, on the other hand, she's got a right to be upset. She fired back on her husband after he teased her. And apparently he wasn't ambitious, which is something that women expect from men. This is why it's hard to put the full blame on the woman or the man if we're looking to be honest.
Yes, I'm going to leave him. I was planning to move so I can bring my girl up in a better environment. I'll take her home before I'll let her grow up among these trifling, no-good people. These people are the lowest I ever heard of. Some of them are too lazy to put on shoes. And do you think my daughter is not going to have a chance to associate with better children or people like that?
There are many such families within the lower class who wish to see their children get ahead. Another mother commented,
I hate the fact that I am unable to keep my daughter in high school. I am willing right now to work my fingers to the bone if I could get work to do to be able to put my daughter back in school and to be able to give her some of the things she would like to have in this world.
These are the people that I root for. The ones who really want to better their situation. Sometimes there are uncontrollable situations that prevent that from happening. Emerging too from within the lower class are those young people who, because of their contact with the middle class world, at school, in the larger churches, social agencies, or community houses, and through their reading of the Negro press and a general awareness of successful Negroes, have psychologically repudiated their lower class status. They had eaten from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. They became aware of the middle class world and could clearly see the contrast between it and their own lower class status. That awareness made it impossible for them to remain content. So they rejected the life they were born into. Some of these are able, by getting jobs of their own, joining social clubs, or moving away from their families, to begin mobility out of lower class status. Why did they have to move? Because lower class environments create pressure to remain a lower class person. It's reinforced everywhere. The way they talk, the way they think, the way they live. That environment makes it nearly impossible to become anything else. To change, they had to escape that entire world because that was the most promising way to become someone different. One lower class woman whose daughter has middle class aspirations indicated the influence which a mobility-minded child can have on a lower class family.
I like this neighborhood all right, but I don't like some of the people in it. I don't like their ways. My daughter, Juanita, says that as soon as she finishes grammar school, she's going to move out of the neighborhood. She tells me, Mama, if you stay, I'm going to leave you.
That's what has to be done sometimes. People have to learn to leave those behind who want to stay. And sometimes that includes cousins, kids, moms, and pops. It's either you stay behind with them, they go forward with you, or you go your separate ways. One high school girl revealed the content of these dreams of getting ahead.
I was going to high school up until last September. I had to drop out because of financial distress. I have had 2 jobs since I've been out of school. I've worked as a maid and also have done a little factory work. Right now, my main concern is where I can get a job. I would like to get away from that maid and nurse girl type of job, but I would consider anything at present. I sit down and think of the pretty talks that I could buy if I could get a decent job.
For younger people, getting ahead usually means staying in school beyond the grades and then securing a non-menial job and moving out of definitely lower class areas. They got to get out of the area. And it's a shame that this has to be the case, but these are the rules of the game. Girls particularly seem sensitive to the respectability of their surroundings, and this is a serious matter if they want to make a good match. Girls with a mobility drive have to fight an almost physical battle against the lower class world. Why? Because of all the pressure. It's all around, and it acts like bowling lane bumpers. If you try to go out of the lane, the social pressure bumps people back on course to make them conform to the environmental standards. The way people think and behave are the lane bumpers. So when you have a lot of people behaving a certain way, that creates the social pressure, which is really an energetic field that permeates within the environment. And it attempts to drown out any energy outside of its frequency. Now, this doesn't just apply for lower class worlds. It applies for all worlds. For instance, in a safe neighborhood that's rich in good values and prosperity, if a young person there suddenly tries to start gangbanging, then the energetic field that they have cultivated in that community is going to drown them out, because that practice is on a completely different wavelength. To the point where if they really wanted to be gang members, they would have to move to an environment that supports that energy. You see? That's why it's important to intentionally create the proper environment, so the energetic field can work for you instead of against you. Because it's going to be there regardless, depending on the foundation that's created. And that's why these people were struggling with trying to get out of the lower class. Even those who reach the high school level do not always succeed in developing an integrated pattern of middle-class behavior. During the Depression years, there was a tendency for lower-class girls to stay in school since jobs were scarce. But increased schooling was sometimes associated with a lower-class pattern of sex behavior, which we already know was wild, loose, and chaotic. Truancy was prevalent among girls at both of Bronzeville's high schools. One very articulate girl of a lower-class family, who likes school and hopes to be somebody, described the activities of many of these truants.
Wait, they take money from men to get themselves stockings and a little lunch money. Lots of those girls meet men after school and go to rooms with them. They tell me I'm crazy and don't know what I'm missing.
That's the pressure. That's the environment trying to get stragglers to conform. And only the very strong-willed can dodge the trap.
After I got 16 years old and began to see so much happen to girls, I just made up a solid mind I will never do a thing like that.
It almost got her. She had the thought before, but she snapped out of it, and she used her common sense and will to resist.
My home is already a mess, and if I start to doing things and get pregnant or get a social disease, it will be too bad. Men pick at me because I have large legs, but I tell them in a few words where to get off.
So she was on it. She had insight to know where that road led if she were to follow it. So good for her. One 17-year-old lower-class girl who had gone as far as the first year of high school was definitely oriented toward living decent. Her description of the world she hopes to reject is graphic.
If I wanted to, I could be bad here on Calumet and never go to school, but I don't want to be a bad girl. I see so much here on Calumet. We have lived around here ever since I can remember, and this building has had lots of hustling girls in it, some of them younger than I am.
Meaning prostitutes.
Just the other night, a man beat a girl nearly to death and wouldn't give her 10 cents to get a sandwich. Men had been going to her room all day, white and colored. We counted 10 men go in and out.
This stuff is wild.
When her pimp came home, he told her she hadn't made him enough money. He made her get in the streets, and she cried and begged him for 10 cents to get herself a hot dog. And he kicked her down the steps and told her she had better bring him some money. He didn't care how she got it.
Oh, snaps.
I have seen girls rob men and seen men stick up men and take off their clothes. That's why I hate that kind of stuff.
We have lived among it, and I have seen and heard of it since I was 6 years old.
When asked if she would like to move, she answered,
Yes, ma'am, but I guess we are so poor and down and out, we have to stay here.
"This stuff is wild. The ghetto life is something serious. Who wants to keep living in that world?" Apparently, a lot of people do. And that's what keeps it alive. So wrapping up right now with the lower class Negroes, next we're going to go deeper into the life of middle class Negroes. So look out for that. I thank you right now for your time and attention. My name is Brooklyn St. Michael, and I'll see you in the free world.